Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Ill Factor from beatacademy.com. In this video, I'm going to share with you some tips and tricks on how to recreate the vocal effect you can hear in Bury a Friend by Billie Eilish. So let's dive right in. Now, just a heads up, I would say 80% of the overall characteristic of the vocals in Bury a Friend really do come from the delivery and the performance of Billie. I mean, she really nails it. Adds the mysterious drama behind it too, and all the little nuances that go into the delivery of the phrases. And so the vocal production is really, really well done. And so you got to keep that in mind. That plays a big part. So I didn't have her vocals to use, so I just recorded my own vocals for the sake of duplicating the same type of effect. And I went ahead of time and recreated the drum beat and the ghost chords. And I'll probably go in depth about how to recreate that in another video. But for right now, let's focus on the vocals. So fair warning, I'm probably going to sound like a dying giraffe on top of a flopping zebra. So let's take a listen.
What do you want from me? Why don't you run from me? What are you wondering? What do you know? What do you want from me? Why don't you run from me? What are you wondering? What do you know?
Now I just went ahead and duplicated the same phrase for the first half of the verse and just repeated it over. I was just pretty lazy. So let me walk you through a little bit of the processing I'm applying to my vocal. So I'm starting off with using a gate to take away any of the unwanted noise that might have been captured in the background. Then I start off with tuning the vocal using the Waves real-time tune, and I'm in the key of G minor here. So just pretty moderate tuning here, not T-Pain crazy, but just enough to capture any of the wrong notes. And then we have an EQ, got a Fab Filter EQ. Now, because I was really up close to my microphone, the proximity effect was it was really close. You're gonna capture a lot more low end. And the reason why I was so close to my condenser mic is that I wanted to capture that intimate type of vibe that I heard on the reference record. And so knowing that, I really did roll off a lot of the low end here and just brought some presence and some brightness to the vocal. And then I'm controlling the sibilance and a little bit of that brightness with a de-esser right after that EQ, the Eosis de-esser. Pretty straightforward, just the way it loaded, just use that and just dial the sensitivity and the amount to the way I liked it. And then I'm compressing everything with the Universal Audio LA2A. It's one of my favorite compressors, but this gives a nice sandwiched dynamic performance from the vocal. And this is what's going to capture a lot of the little nuances and the breaths and things like that can really make it sit up front a little bit more. And right after that compressor, we've got a Pultec EQ to just take away some of the 4K that I'm hearing that was just a little annoying. So after compressing it, I took away some of the frequencies that I thought was harsh, and then I actually boosted a little bit of the low end, and I've got this set to 60. So I know it's counterintuitive. You're thinking, why would you want to boost 60 hertz? Well, this specific type of EQ doesn't necessarily, it's not like like the Fab filter. That has a certain characteristic. So when you switch it to 60 and you boost it, you're getting a lot of that nice low end beef without having to get the rumble on the vocals. So it's pretty cool. And so this is what we have on the vocal chain.
What do you want from me? Why don't you run from me? What are you wondering? What do you know?
I'm doing about 5 to 7 dBs of gain reduction, as you can see on the LA2A, for the reason being that when I don't do that, it becomes more dynamic. And I want really the vocals to be consistently, I want their dynamics to be a lot more consistent. So watch what happens when I dial this back.
What do you want from me? Why don't you run from me? What do you want?
You can definitely hear at the beginning of the phrases, what do you, right? Those kind of jump out more. But when we start to, let's say, put it around 60 or 70 and bring that back, it stays a little further back.
What do you want from me? Why don't you run from me? What are you wondering? What do you know? What do you want from me? Why don't you run from me? What are you wondering? What do you know?
I like the feel that it gave to the performance there. All right, now let's head into just creating and crafting that vocal effect. So what we're going to do is I'm going to create an audio track right underneath this one, and I'm simply going to click and drag this whole audio, and I'm going to hold the Option key and drag that right underneath there. Immediately what I'm going to do is, while everything's highlighted, make sure that it's warped and set it from the warping algorithm to Complex Pro. And we're going to transpose this vocal track down a whole octave. So I'm going to go minus 12 semitones. And this vocal will simply be a whole octave lower at the warping at the Complex Pro.
What do you want from me? Why don't you run from me?
All right, so we're going to have that, and I'll go ahead and rename this low Vox. We're going to duplicate the same process. We're going to go ahead and create another audio track here. I'm simply going to grab the lead again, drag it underneath. And this one, instead of going 12 semitones down, we're going to go 12 semitones up. So we're going up an octave. So we went down an octave, and now we're going to go up. So go up Vox. And let's just go ahead and assign the color there. So it just makes it a lot easier to be organized. And there you go. Now let's go ahead and just blend these two.
What do you want from me?
Oh, we haven't changed this one up yet. So let's go ahead and solo this.
What do you want from me?
Now the reason why we're using Complex Pro as opposed to Complex for this is because Complex won't maintain the integrity or keep the formats in place. So it basically will sound just like a chipmunk.
What do you want?
That's just the regular pitching it up by 12 semitones. So Complex Pro will maintain the formats and try to do the best to keep the integrity as if I was singing it falsetto.
What do you want from me?
So we'll go ahead and blend these two.
What do you want from me? Why don't you run from me? What are you wondering?
Now you notice that for each one of these tracks, we're not also duplicating the vocal chain I have in the first one. This is just more for the texture that we're looking for. Now, what we're going to do is create a duplicate of this lead with the vocal chain this time. And I'm going to do Command D to duplicate this track. So Command D, there it is right there. And then I'm just going to move that down. And for this one, we're going to place a vocoder synth directly onto this track. So let me just rename this Vocode and just give it another color here. Makes it easy to kind of organize things. So now, after everything we've already done to process the vocals, let's go ahead and place, I'm going to use Isotope's Vocal Synth 2 for this. So just grab Vocal Synth 2, drag and drop that, and there you go. Now before moving forward, we're going to go away from the auto mode that's set by default in Vocal Synth 2, and we're going to switch it over to MIDI mode. That way I can control the keys or the notes that are being played by another MIDI track, triggering the vocal synth. So now that it's in MIDI mode, we're going to go ahead and create a MIDI track that can simply trigger the vocal synth. So I'm going to right click here and insert MIDI track. And then we're going to go ahead and in that MIDI track, we're going to designate the output. So vocode is the track where the vocals is on and the vocal synth is on. And inside that track, since we have the wave tune, we see that there, foul filter, down all the way to the vocal synth 2. That is what we're going to be controlling. So as I start to manipulate or play my MIDI device, you see that it is going to trigger the vocoder. So I'll just solo that and we'll see the effect happen. Now let's open up Vocal Synth and change some of the parameters in there. So you might notice that Vocal Synth does come with multiple different modules, not just a vocoder module, but different types of modules that can change the overall character and the tone of the vocal. BioVox, Vocoder, CompuVox, TalkBox, and Polyvox. Now the vocoder module here might be a little bit too robotic. So if I play it, we might want to go and start by working our way from Polyvox. So let's use this and we can change around some of the parameters here and see what that gives us.
Do you want from me? Why don't you run from me? What are you wondering?
And that's cool. That's giving more of a, it still feels humanized or more of a human, even though we're just changing the format around. So I'll leave that and might want to even combine that with the talk box. So let's see what we get when we combine these two.
What do you want from me? Why don't you run from me?
So I might need to blend or change it probably. Let's try changing the format of that. We'll bring it all the way down and maybe switch it over to bright and blend it in with the polyvox.
You want from me? Why don't you run from me? What are you wondering?
Now, what we're going to do is raise the gate up so that it really just captures the vocal performance and nothing in between that. The same thing we're using the gate in the regular vocal chain to do. And I'm going to also crank up the width. This is going to really give a nice stereo depth with the vocal.
You want from me? Why don't you run from me? What are you wondering?
All right, let's go ahead now and record that MIDI. Well, let's see what it sounds like with the rest of the vocals.
What do you want from me? Why don't you run from me? What are you wondering? What do you know? What?
So now I'm going to record me playing the notes on the fly alongside with the regular dry vocal.
What do you want from me? Why don't you run from me? What are you wondering? What do you know? What do you want from me? Why don't you run from me? What are you wondering? What do you know?
All right, so here, let's listen to the vocoder track alone now.
What do you want from me? Why don't you run from me? What are you wondering? What do you know?
So all I'm doing is I'm performing the notes that I want the vocoder to trigger or change the vocals into, which is really cool. And that's how we were able to harmonize and get that nice haunting type of feel. So what I'm gonna do is highlight all these, hit Command U to just quantize them. I know these notes here are off, so I'll just shift those around. So now we're gonna use an EQ8 after the vocal, just to even just take a little bit of the high end off, and that'll blend it even a little more.
What do you want from me? Why don't you run from me? What are you wondering? What do you know? What do you want from me? Why don't you run from me? What are you wondering? What do you know?
That's cool. It's filling that up nicely. It's adding that bottom harmonics, and we have that note or that voice just singing that G all the way through, and then it switches down to the F sharp. So let's go ahead, and now what I'm going to do is just group all the vocals that we've just created together. I'm going to hit Command G so that it all groups together here, and just apply a little bit of compression. So for this, I'll go to the glue compressor, put that on there, and just change around some of the parameters here.
What do you want from me? Why don't you run from me? What are you wondering? What do you know?
All right, so we'll just maybe dial the attack back a little bit and give it some makeup gain.
What do you want from me? Why don't you run from me?
You see how now just compressing it, it actually brought up the level of the vocoded signal, and it just glued them all together. And now what we're gonna do is use a really simple slap back delay to create some more extra width for the vocals. And this will help just spread them out a little bit more. So what I'm going to do is grab a simple delay. You can follow along using any delay that you might have in your DAW. I'm going to place that on my return track C, and I'm going to send the vocals to return track C. I'm just going to crank up the send there. Now on here, what we're going to do is we're going to take it off sync mode, and what we want to do is adjust the milliseconds timing of the delay time, both for the left and right. So let's make it really short here, and we'll adjust both, and let's just find a nice sweet spot.
What do you want from me? Why don't you run?
First, let's go ahead and set the dry wet 100%.
What do you want from me? Why don't you run from me? What are you wondering? What do you know?
So what I'm doing is just really short, maybe about 45 seconds on the left and a little bit shorter. The trick is to have them at 2 different separate times, and then we'll just give a little bit of feedback. And so I'll leave it at 100% there, and I'll just lower the volume of the C return track, and I'll get the blend just the way I like it.
What do you want from me? Why don't you run from me? What are you wondering? What do you know? What do you want from me? Why don't you run from me? What are you wondering? What do you know?
I just brought up the lower Vox vocal a little bit and brought down the vocoder track a little bit more. But there you go. That's going to give somewhat of the same effect that we're getting on there. And it's pretty cool how you can use the vocoder to give more of that haunting feel that we hear on the reference. Well, I hope this video has been helpful and inspiring you to use some of these tips in your own productions when you're dealing with your vocals. So as my gift to you for watching, I'd love to send you a sample pack loaded with loops, construction kits, one-shots, and transition effects that you can use in your projects. It doesn't matter what DAW you're using, this is yours absolutely free. Just click the link below in the description box to download this sample pack. It's yours absolutely free, and it's 100% royalty free too. So you can use it in your DAW and share that music with the rest of the world. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe so you stay up to date with the next coming video, and I'll see you next time.